we got to talk about Ty France, because this dude just put together a phenomenal month of May. All these people on Twitter ready to write him off a month into the year, 3 weeks into the year, saying that it's time to move on. And look, I mean, we understand. We understand that it wasn't the best year in the world for him last year. Didn't get off to a super hot start. But guess what? Sometimes these driveline results and trainings take a little bit of time to put into action. Now we sit here on recording June 3rd. Ty France put up a 142 WRC plus in the month of May.
He's ahead of the curve. JP took a lot longer than this to turn it around offensively last year. We highlighted this. We talked about Ty France early in April. I think it was the second week of the season, second or third week of the season. We talked about Ty France, but it was a different conversation. So the basis of that first conversation, I remember, Lyle, his savant page was amazing. He had been hitting the ball extremely hard the first couple weeks of the season, and that was good because that's what Driveline strives to do. He had talked about how he added 3 miles per hour in his bat speed. Amazing. So that's what that first one was, but the results weren't really there yet. And I said either the page normalizes and his stats go down, or it stays up and his stats go up. Well, it's kind of in a mix of both, because if you just take the savant page and you look at it now, he looks like about an average hitter, give or take. Is that fair? He looks about average when you take a look at his current savant profile. But the results he's getting and the improvements he's making in specific areas, especially here in the month of May, are very similar to what we saw from JP Crawford last season. So let's compare to JP last year. So JP, first 3 months of last year in 2023, was fine offensively. He was better than his previous 2022 self then, but he wasn't quite the JP Crawford we saw in the second half of last year. It took JP Crawford until July to really break out offensively and see the results of what he had worked so hard at Driveline at. Ty France, it's only taken a month for him to get to a 142 WRC plus, which is one of the best marks he's had in his career. If we want to shorten the sample size too, since May 13th, Ty France has a 178 WRC plus. That's pretty good.
That's really good. And can I contextualize the JP thing here a little bit too, just so people have an even better idea? From opening day through the end of June last year, JP Crawford had a 714 OPS and a 108 WRC plus. So to your point, that is about what he had done over the course of 21 and 22. Slightly above average hitter, nothing crazy. From July 1st till the end of the year last year, JP Crawford put up a 915 OPS and a 159 WRC plus. So yes, JP Crawford finished last season top 15 in all of baseball in weighted runs created plus. Most of that was driven by a ridiculous second half. And you just said it too. Ty France did not wait around till July to have that happen. No, he had a tough first month, but he turned it around quick in the month of May, because all of a sudden here, he has been awesome.
And so here's the things that are similar from Ty France's offensive profile and JP Crawford's offensive profile. Where's Driveline affecting them? So they've both seen jumps in average exit velocity. Both have seen jumps in hard hit rate. The chase rate has improved as well, and so has the barrel rate. So they're getting... So in summary, let me revert myself on the chase rate. The chase rate, I think, so in terms of chase, it gets better, but they do swing and miss a little bit more. So Ty France is sacrificing a little bit of his contact ability for better plate discipline or better swing decision and harder swings overall, which don't necessarily result in the most contact, but it results actually in a higher quality of contact. So he's hitting the ball less often, but he's hitting it harder, and he's hitting it at a more optimal angle, as we see with the increase in barrel rate. And that's a good thing to see, because that's what first basemen need to do. They need to hit the ball hard, and they need to hit the ball in the air. Ty France is not going to be Pete Alonso, but his past power production was only acceptable really for a first baseman if you were going to hit for a high average and get on base a lot, which last year he didn't do. But this year, he's got 7 home runs already. Note that Ty France's career high in home runs is 20, and he's on pace to beat that record by a little bit.
It's great. Yeah, it's great. And honestly, let's put this into context a bit again, too. Ty France used to strike out under 20% of the time. Now he's striking out at about a 23.5% clip. That's really manageable. If you're going to have Ty France hitting the ball out of the ballpark, racking up a lot more doubles, hitting the ball harder, he's also walking a tad bit more than he was before. If you're going to get all that, and he's going to strike out a little bit more often, I know the Mariners are already striking out a bunch, but guess what? You live with that to get what is much closer to peak Ty France. 23% strikeout rate is perfectly manageable. And if Ty's going to hit 20-plus bombs, he's going to put up an OPS over 800. He's going to put up a 125 WRC plus again for the year. I'm signing all the way up for a slightly increased strikeout rate. Guess what? His WRC plus right now is at 110. It was really low after the month of April. He took that thing way up. Now he's been 10% above league average as a hitter for the whole year.
Just to context, the power surge this month, he hit 5 homers in May. He'd only done that twice in his career. Did that in April of 22 and June of 21. That's it. It's the only time we've seen power like that from Ty France. It feels like now, though, because of the other numbers, feels a little bit more sustainable. He's no longer up there hitting for average. He's trying to do some damage. That's what he's doing. I will say his launch angle did not increase like JP's. His is pretty similar. JP like almost doubled his launch angle last year to hit for more power. JP doesn't have quite as much raw power as Ty France does. So he's got to, pull it and hit it in the air a little bit more than Ty does. Ty's still got a little bit more line drive in his swing than JP does. But that doesn't still mean he can't hit for more power because their numbers are saying he's hitting it as hard as he has in his career.
You want some more reason for Ty France optimism too?
Sure.
So a big change for Ty this year compared to last year is he's doing damage on sinkers and sliders. He wasn't doing that last year. He's done a pretty nice 180 in terms of the results he's had on those pitches. But he's not hitting four-seam fastballs right now really at all. He's slugging about 260 against four-seam fastballs, 266 to be exact. I don't think that's going to sustain in a positive way. That should go severely up. Even last year when Ty was struggling, he slugged a little over 340 against fastballs, four-seamers.
Yeah.
So
and if you look at what JP...
all that combined, just to wrap this up, if he's going to hit this well, Ty France in his career has crushed fastballs in his best seasons. 21, 22, he dominated against four-seamers. So if all of a sudden he's really turning this whole thing around and he's already hitting two-seamers and sliders, when he starts hitting four-seamers, we're talking about real peak Ty France all of a sudden again. All that combined, and you can have a Ty France that was the guy he once was in 2021 or the first half of 2022.
And what was the pitch driveline JP Crawford was crushing last year? It's four-seam fastball.
Mm-hmm.
That was his pitch.
Yeah. So again, give it a little time. I don't think there's any way in the world Ty France ends the year slugging 266 against four-seam fastballs. That seems nearly impossible. I think there's only room for that to go severely up. So let's see what it looks like at about the All-Star break. I bet you it'll look a lot different. So with the way Ty France is hitting now, it does have the potential to change some things for how the Mariners will approach this trade deadline and what the roster could look like after the All-Star break. I started to think about this the other day. Briefly mentioned it on the live stream. I texted you about it. You said you were all game for it. So let's present it here, see what everybody thinks. How would you feel about this iteration of the Mariners offense post All-Star break? If Ty France continues to hit like this, what if the Mariners do as follows? The Mariners turn Mitch Garver into the backup catcher. He plays twice a week and just faces lefties where he does his best damage. Ty France stays at first base doing what he's doing. You call up Tyler Locklear, assuming he continues to hit in AAA. Him and Ty split time between first base and DH. And the bat you go trade for is a corner outfield bat, let's say Brent Rooker, rather than a first base bat. I think that's got a chance to do some damage.
So let's start position by position. Let's start at first base, because we just highlighted France. If Ty is hitting like he does for the rest of the season, he should play every single day at first base, bar none. Okay.
Well,
catcher.
all I meant with that is with Ty and Locklear potentially splitting time at first base. That's not taking Ty France out of the lineup. That's just getting him some days off his feet. It gets Locklear some playing time in the field. It's just like it's even playing time.
He should be playing every day, though.
Yeah,
is the summary there.
Either at first base or DH. Yes, Ty should be in the lineup every day.
Right, presuming he hits this way the rest of the season. So yes, okay, that's good. So then you're taking your DH and you're moving him behind the plate in Mitch Garver. So I'm assuming Seby's off the roster at this point. So Garver goes back there and he is your backup catcher. First of all, I'd mentioned it on last week's podcast that I liked what I saw from Garver behind the plate. He looked fine, looked serviceable back there in a hopes to wake up his bat. It's like, okay, so when the Mariners face lefties on the mound, that's a reason to get Mitch Garver back behind the plate and give Cal Raleigh a day off. It is as much as getting Garver and his 122 WRC plus against lefties in the lineup behind the plate and like less thinking at the plate and more optimizing Mitch Garver for success both on defense and on offense as well. And this also ties in to give Cal Raleigh some more days off because this dude, I mean, is just getting beat up more and more and more, and he could use some days off. If Cal could get a couple of days off a week, he would really benefit from that. I think he would because he continues to take a beating. He had another one off the bottom of his hand on Sunday. I mean, he is just taking an absolute beating. So with Mitch Garver going back behind the plate would allow for that. Okay, then so that's those three, and then trading for like a Brent Rooker corner outfield, like yeah, because that's something the Mariners could need. And Luke Raley's been good. Dom Canzone's been good this season when he's been on the field. But the Mariners don't have that high upside corner outfielder that can anchor. I don't know if anchor is the right word because these guys aren't supposed to anchor a lineup. But the corner outfield production they've had this year has been average to slightly above average offensively. If they want to go out there and make a true splash and really at the deadline add to this lineup and make themselves significantly better, this solution right here gives you that flexibility to go out there and grab a guy in a corner outfield like Brent Rooker. So then I think that makes a whole lot of sense.
And we didn't even tie in Locklear that much here. You're talking about a guy that, look, he's only had about a week in Tacoma so far. But if he continues to do what he's done at every level of the minor leagues, if he's played 40 or so games in Tacoma by the trade deadline, and he's got another 130 or so WRC plus, if not higher, how can you not bring him up at that point? And with all the puzzle pieces aligning together the way we're outlining them, he's got room to play. It's not taking away playing time from Ty France. It lets Mitch Garver optimize his strengths, and they can still go trade for a real outfield bat with the potential for Locklear to come up and provide this offense a real jolt with hit and power.
Now, I'm assuming this means at that point that second base is still not a pressing issue.
No, you have to roll with Polanco at that point.
Right.
And again, I don't think the Mariners are moving on from him this year.
I don't think so either, but I'm assuming nothing drastic changes in 2 months. Like, we don't look at 2 months like there's a certain current Oakland A starting every day at second base for the Mariners. That's what I'm assuming. Okay. I'm assuming things are fine at second base in 2 months, whether it's Ryan Bliss, whether it's Jorge and Polanco and Ryan Bliss splitting time, whether it's just Jorge Polanco, however it is, that the issue at second base is not bigger than saying, okay, we're okay, like supplementing our corner outfield spots, which they have a lot of corner outfielders. They just don't have a Brent Rooker level corner outfielder right now.
Right. I got to tell you, I like that idea in terms of the Mariners taking a jump offensively. I think that could do a lot. And again, I think that fits a lot of puzzle pieces in terms of, again, you're keeping Ty France around. You're getting Locklear's time. You're optimizing Mitch Garver. You're still trading for a real bat. Feels like we're checking a lot of boxes here.
Yeah. Certainly. So, like, I like the idea. I do. And it gives it, I think the finding a pathway for Locklear to play in the big leagues this year, which I think you and I both think he will, it's going to necessitate something creative because the current Mariners roster cannot accommodate him because he's not playing third. You're not moving Ty France over to third. You have a DH and you have a first baseman. So there's no spot for him, barring a trade. So if you want to find a spot for him on the big league roster this year, this is what's going to need to happen.
Mhm.
Or a version of this is what's going to need to happen.
Right? And it's got the potential to be a really good version.